Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
We take a deep dive into the current music industry. Why is Britney not on the radio? We look at new music coming in 2017. Leah Remini's Scientology show brings the ratings, Fuller House returns to Netflix, and we're examining the animals on Vanderpump Rules. That right now with Jay Ellis. Let the ranting begin. I'm sitting across from my good friend, host, and actor, Jay Ellis.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, good. Thank you for coming in and ranting with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely happy to be here.
Jay and I rant a lot, and now we're going to be ranting on tape.
Oh, and we were talking a little bit before, and it's kind of weird because I've never just talked on a podcast, not recapping something, so I feel like I should recap your day or my day or something. We should just analyze it, but yeah.
Yes. Before we get into all that, let's talk a little bit about how we know one another. Of course, Jay at AfterBuzz TV.
Yep. Yeah, so I started with the mutual friend who suggested me there, Megan, and she told me to apply and send in my audition tape, and so I did, and got on there. I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of people. You are one of the lovely hosts that I got to work on with on Finding Prince Charming, and I'm glad that we've stayed friends and in contact after the show.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, one of the few values that I got out of that show was meeting good people.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so
one of the redeeming factors of that show.
Yes, for sure. So let's talk about someone that we mutually have an extreme admiration for. It was Britney Spears' birthday, December 2nd.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a... What number was this? Do you know?
35.
Oh, big one. It's a big one.
35.
It's crazy to think that she is 35 and still, to me, a pop icon. She is still going strong.
Total icon.
Yeah.
And I wanted to shout out her age because there were a lot of very ignorant people. And, she's in her 40s. She's too old. She's not Madonna. Just saying.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she is not. And Madonna, not only that, I think Madonna started blowing up at, 32 or 34.
Yeah.
So Britney even said, look, Madonna started in her early 30s. I have no signs of stopping. If she could continue to go on, so am I, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Britney does seem committed to continuing, where I don't think she owes anybody anything.
No. And honestly, maybe people have aged her because she started that residency in Vegas at a certain point where, sometimes that used to be kind of geared toward an older diva, I guess to say. But Britney started it in her 30s, so maybe that's why people kind of aged her a little bit. But I don't know. Happy birthday! She's still working.
No one has been taken down as low as she has been. There's a great article on E! Online. And I'll get to this point now because I could go off on Britney, but there's a great article about how we no longer need to say it's a comeback because what she was up against with her mental health and all of her problems was 8 years ago. She's put out numerous albums since. She's had this successful show in Vegas, which she's never had to cancel for anything except for a knee injury when it first started, or an ankle injury. So she even said on the Today Show, well, I never really went anywhere. I don't view this as a comeback.
Yeah, it was. I never viewed it as a comeback myself. I like to think that I was one with her, but it's just. I think people kind of, when you hit that bottom, they kind of assume that you have to climb back up. But it was her music and her whatever never suffered. No, we still got content from her. It wasn't like she disappeared forever and then came back with, records that we had or music that we hadn't heard from her before. It was a consistent. She was consistently working.
Right.
So I didn't view it as a comeback either.
Right. It was just all the way the press painted it. Ruined her, really. It was the classic takedown and then build back up. But unfortunately, she's not measuring up to where she was before the fall. She is in my eyes. But in press, they'll never, now she's got the old label put on her, which is horrible. And let's talk more about that and how that plays into the music industry. Rolling Stone, on the positive note, they said that Clumsy was one of the top songs of 2016. It was number 34 out of 50. Okay.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorites on Glory, but I was like, okay, I'll take a positive article. I like it. And so I was okay with that. Other songs on there were One Dance, that overplayed Drake song.
Yeah.
And then number 1, Beyonce Formation.
Right.
Which I don't rank for me. So who's really making, like, that's what I say with these lists, even like the BuzzFeed list, like, according to whom?
Exactly. It's always I don't know if they're basing it off of sales, if they're basing it off of their own personal preference. We just don't know. But to have Britney on a list, it's just like on a good list, is kind of fantastic. And especially that song, you're right, Clumsy, a lot of the fans were just kind of weirded out that was the one that they chose. I personally enjoyed. I think it's a really fun, like, zippy song, and it was very different for her. But to have that as the one that they chose was a very weird choice for me. But I'm like I said, I'm going to be like a Britney apologist. Like, anything is good. I will take it.
Yeah. Well, Time Magazine said that Private Show was the 9th worst song, according to the Time of 2016. They said it was like a caricature. It was distorted and overproduced. A lot of music is. That's my defense for that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially nowadays with, like, auto-tune, like, who isn't? Except, like, Adele.
Right. With Private Show, that was one, I think you, Jesse, and I were talking one time, I mean, extensively, about one of the other hosts from Finding Prince Charming, in case you don't know who it is. We were talking about that, I think that song particularly, and I was like, I imagine the producers being like, Britney, do you have a cold? Can we put a clothespin on your nose? Good, let's go to the studio and, like, record that one. It is not my favorite song, but it's one that I will still listen to when it comes on. But to be one of the worst songs, I don't know.
I mean, I always skip it when it comes on.
Do you? Okay.
I don't care for it, but I'm not going to put it on a worst list.
Yeah.
I mean, turn on Kiss FM and all that stuff. I'm so sick of all of it. I mean, they played them to death.
Right.
I mean, I'm getting to the point where I don't even know if I like the Chainsmokers anymore, because I loved them even up to like 3 months ago, and now I'm like, I'm OD'd on all of that.
Yeah, we're getting
completely.
I think they're getting a backlash kind of from the radio play. The Chainsmokers, 21 Pilots, like these bands that have kind of like a catalog of good music, but then people just get kind of burnt out and they don't want to hear it anymore.
Right. Well, for those of you who feel bad that Private Show was on the worst list, don't, because it was for her perfume, which has raked in about $1 billion. So she's good. Everyone's happy overall, so I'm not too worried about her. I don't know. I just feel like we don't celebrate Britney enough. Yeah. But, other songs on that list was Meghan Trainor, No, which I kind of liked that song.
You know, I don't know if we're getting into this later, but Meghan Trainor is one of my favorite artists. Carly Rae Jepsen, like these females that are kind of up and coming in their 20s. I think Carly might be in their 30s now, but they just don't get. I don't know. They write their music and they're working in the studio, so I don't think they give the credit. And No is it's a fun song. I don't know.
It's an easy listen.
It's kind of like, I get it. Like the lyrics aren't smashing and glorious, but it's a fun. Like I feel like it was a big smash. I don't know if it was a bad song.
Yeah, I mean, Rihanna has all these songs that are so repetitive.
Yeah. That
if we're looking at lyrics, I mean, Beyonce is one of the most repetitive repeaters of that.
Yeah.
What else can I say? Justin Timberlake was on the list.
Number 1 for Can't Stop This Feeling?
Can't Stop the Feeling, yeah. Which I never really enjoyed. I never was a huge Justin fan, despite growing up in an NSYNC household.
Wow.
I don't know, the song was like a one and done for me. Because I knew when I heard it, I was like, well, this will be overplayed to death, so I don't really need to listen, because it'll just be picked up constantly.
Yeah. What I didn't get was the disconnect between it being tied into the Trolls movie, which recently came out, I think, in November, and this was like a summer song. So to have that promotion for so long, I know that they wanted it for... Everybody's vying for that summer song now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that that's why they put it out so early, but you're right. It was I liked it, and then I could not hear it again for a long time, but if it came on in probably 4 months, I'll be like, oh, okay, this is fun to like tap my foot to.
Yeah, I have that with some songs too, where they have like a resurgence. I'm like, okay, I can now listen to this again.
Can we, real quick, like side note, Stars Are Blind by Paris Hilton is one of the biggest resurgence songs for me right now, where I listen to it and I'm like, where has this been? Like,
so
it's such a good song, but that's just one of the, like you saying resurgence is Paris Hilton's Stars Are Blind that does it for me now.
I'm on a huge like 08 to 10 repeat of all these songs. They're wonderful.
They are.
They're like Khalees.
Well, we saw on your Twitter that you were liking those Khalees songs.
Oh, you did? That was on there?
It was on there.
Still is on. I've been deleting all my tweets of anything that I like.
I was like, oh, Bossy, Milkshake, yeah. Grant's onto some good songs, yeah.
Like I'm building a playlist for a party, for the holiday party episode coming up shortly.
Yes.
Slumber Party reached number 84 on the Billboard charts. And I go on breatheheavy.com quite often, and basically that's a blog, for those of you who don't know, for all pop and music, and it's very popular. I heard about it, and then it just, I looked at it, and I was like, oh, this is like kind of a cheapo site. Yeah. And then like a year later, I'm like, this is like huge. They cover everything.
Yeah.
They said that, quote, if you apply value to music through numbers on charts, then this debut is abysmal and won't likely climb any higher. Or if you're a general fan of Britney's music, then seeing her continue to chart nearly 20 years into her career is an astounding feat. So I read that like a couple times, because I was like, damn, like I was hoping that they would say like, this is a good start, but no, the word abysmal, you don't really get much worse than that.
Right.
But then like they follow it up with being positive with her this far into her career, it's still charting, which is a feat, but I really want to see her back on top, just at least one more time.
Wouldn't it be great just to have like a number one? Because we haven't had her number one, I think, since I Want to Go. Like, I think that was her last song that was like heavy radio rotation. And we're seeing, I mean, her YouTube as of December was at 31 million for the views on Slumber Party, which I kind of want to say that a lot of people build playlists as you are, like based off of YouTube. So I think people go there and they have that playing. I see at the gym, people slide their phones into their pockets and they have music videos playing, so I think that they use that as their kind of playlist now. Yeah. So maybe it's getting the plays off of that, but to see her, you're right, 20 years later, and she hasn't had to like reinvent herself like other pop artists have. Like Madonna has stayed kind of relevant because she's following the trends. Britney's produced...
So tired, that one.
I agree. I've never been the biggest Madonna fan, to be fair, but she just doesn't do it for me. But Britney has kept like a consistent sound as a pop princess.
Yeah, really.
So I don't know, 20 years in, that's great.
Well, they say that she's working on a follow-up album to Glory. She's supposedly already starting to record, but she doesn't know what she wants the sound to be. So it sounds like she's got this new thing now where she just throws things up against the wall and then she chooses like a year in and decides what she wants to put on there. So I'm glad to see she's getting to work on that. And she's super hardworking, and people don't give her any credit because they still expect her to sing live.
Right.
And it's like, you guys, she's a performer. She's not going to do it.
Yeah, we need to drop it. She will lip sync, and she's going to try to keep up with the dancers. Like, she's just a performer. You're right. She's there for entertainment.
Yes. Well, I looked into this because I was wondering why we're continuing to listen to the same songs over and over, no matter who it is. Like you mentioned, 21 Pilots on the radio constantly. Drake. Unreal how many times they play those same like 3 songs. Right. I can't stand Controller. But beyond that, radio DJ Carlos Duran, he said that I saw this like it was a screen cap from a private message, and he said that they removed Slumber Party from their radio rotation because he said that it didn't do well locally. This was in the Albuquerque market and nationally. So that's why we're not hearing new music, such as, example, Slumber Party. And while it's a new song featuring Tinashe, would be a great addition to the radio rotation. But apparently because of what? Like 3 days after it opened, it didn't perform?
Right. And they play... I feel like at this point, a lot of people find their own music, and I use my phone or, that kind of stuff. When I'm driving, I'm more into podcasts lately. Like, if I'm driving or at the gym, I'll be on a podcast or, like, my album, my playlist kind of thing. So radio play, I think, is really geared towards people who are at work who don't have the luxury of changing to their own music. So they're getting what the radio is feeding them, and then they start hearing these songs every hour, like, once every hour. So it's almost like a CD that's on replay. I think that's kind of like where they get this from, is they would say, okay, we're due for Chainsmokers at the top of the hour again, let's put them on. So they don't have control, and if they introduce something new, people are like, wait, why didn't I get my Chainsmokers? I'm used to they're like having like a learned responsibility or learned reaction to be like, oh, I'm expecting this song next.
Right.
I don't know.
And they go on forever. When you listen to older radio, like classic radio or like throwback radio, I just feel like that's so much more refreshing. Like I listen to these old hip hop stations and just to hear Little Chemical on the radio, I'm like, turn this up, like I'm desperate for something different. A lot of these people, like Christina, Cher, Madonna, they're all considered quote unquote like done. So that's why they don't get played, because they've been on for so long. Yet all of those ladies, maybe with the exception of Christina, all have huge tours that make like hundreds of millions of dollars. Right. So there are still very much people who listen, love, buy, who would love to hear a new Cher song.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's basically, I looked in further, and there's this whole pay for play with the radio. I always thought it was by requesting and stuff like that, and how popular songs were, but it really is all just these...
The companies are paying these radio stations saying, we'll give you however... I don't know what the money is, but we will pay you to play our artists.
Yes.
So
it's apparently illegal for a record company, like an RCA, to give money to like a iHeartRadio station network.
Yeah.
So they have these indies, these people called indies who are promoters, independent promoters. But these people get money and they give it to the radio stations, and that's how they get these songs played. So if you are Rihanna, you definitely have someone behind you who's pumping that money into the system.
Yeah.
And this article is from ABC News, and it was like this local artist in the Las Vegas area, and he can't even get his own music on a local radio station because he doesn't have anyone who's paying for it to be on there. And he has a huge following in that area, in that market, but they won't play it because they don't have the money. So it's interesting, and no one has the money put behind Britney. I just think that what Britney needs to do is get Rihanna's team, like that design of always having a new single. Like, that girl's always having new music, so she's really in your face, so you have to play her.
Yeah. My thing with Rihanna is, like, a side note, that I feel like she releases singles and then the album is a filler. So she's like, oh, I have 2 lead singles that are going to kill on the radio, and then the rest is blah. But I think other artists kind of put together a whole album, and they kind of put together things that they don't know where they're going to get the next single from because they have a pretty solid album all the way through. Just, I a little shade, but I like Rihanna. I like her singles, but when I listen to the whole album, I'm like, oh, skip. So, I don't know. That's just my own opinion.
Well, new music to skip through coming out.
Hopefully not.
I know, hopefully not. Lana Del Rey is supposed to come out with a new album. I did not like the last album that she put out at all. It was considered California goth, which is just
that old term.
I'm not okay with it. But then she was describing how she feels obligated to put out a New York style album similar to the ones that I liked, her earlier ones, which I can't think of them right now. It was like Born to Die, National Anthem, like those types of songs, which I really did like because they painted such beautiful pictures. The music videos were so high budget. She featured the Chateau Marmont, which just wins you over. Yeah. I'm shallow enough to buy into that. But this last album, no. So I don't know. I have zero expectations for this new one that supposedly is supposed to come out. I don't know anything. She registered a song on her name, so they're saying like, "Ooh, maybe things are starting to happen." Fergie, though, is definitely coming out with a new album in early 2017. I love MILF Money.
Right.
I listen to it almost every day.
Oh, really?
I love Fergie. The newer song, though, that she has under the name of it.
I can't think of it either, but I know that she released it recently.
I'm not a fan of that one.
Okay. I haven't heard it myself. Fergie's not really an artist that I go to. If she kind of comes across my way, I'll listen to her. Yeah,
I mean, she's very diverse, I think, in her sound. Like, she'll do different things, like the ballads and all that. And then she'll, like, mix in, like, she had another song. I don't know if it's called Clumsy or what. It sounds...
Oh, yeah, she had a Clumsy.
Yeah, that song. Yeah, she had a Clumsy, too. That one, I was like, So I never really know with her. So who knows with this album? I know I'll go through it like I do with the Gaga album, but I couldn't make that one work.
Yeah, Perfect Illusion, I haven't heard all the way through. I haven't heard anything off Joanne, and I feel bad because I feel like a lot of people turn their back on Lady Gaga, but I just haven't had the interest to go there.
Yeah. Jessica Simpson, Katy Perry, Iggy Azalea, Nelly Furtado, and Taylor Swift are all supposed to come out with new music in the new year, whether it's rumored or confirmed. I don't know. I'm just glad that I have my Britney album.
Right, yeah, I'm happy I got that one. The name that sticks out to me on that one is Iggy Azalea. Like, I really want her to be a success story. Like, I enjoy her sound, her music. I know there was, like, controversy when she first came out about how she came to fame, but it's just I enjoy her sound. I think she was kind of a different voice of or different style of music that I heard yet. And Fancy was a smash. Like, it's a great song. It's perfectly put together. It was the right single to, like, release us to Iggy. Jessica Simpson, what? Like, what is that? I'd rather have an Ashley Simpson album myself. I miss her. Yeah. Oh, man. I loved her music. But, yeah, Jessica,
Yeah, no. I agree. I'm like, I was like, all right. That was like, breaking news. Jessica Simpson's releasing new music. I was like, I don't know if anyone's checking for that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was looking for it, but it is kind of breaking news because she's been doing her her Sears line or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that she? I don't know. Is it Sears or whatever she's doing? She's busy with clothes.
Yeah, well,
Macy's.
I know you can buy the shoes at Macy's.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know where else.
Yeah, that's why music from her was kind of a different. Nobody was expecting it.
Let's switch gears and talk about this show on A&E. Leah Remini's Scientology and the Aftermath. 8 episodes on A&E. Have you watched the show?
I did, based off of your recommendation. So, I gotta be honest, this is not a topic that I seek out as well. So, I get it when people talk about the crazy Scientology, I give the appropriate, oh, that's crazy. But I don't look for, this conspiracy of the church. I don't have anybody involved with the church. I don't have anybody I know who's interested in it, so it's just not a part of my life. That being said, I've seen the documentary Going Clear, and I watched Leah Remini's show, and it was interesting. I just don't know if it's a series that I'm going to keep up with. But I know you are anxious.
Well, yeah, even I will admit, even at the end of the show, I was like, okay, we kind of get it. I feel like it was kind of maybe 10 minutes too long. But I enjoy the show quite a bit because I just like hearing all the crazy stories. I just think it's fascinating because it really does happen in our own backyard here in LA.
Yes.
Between the celebrity influence and their locations and just everyone in LA seems to have some type of story about something related to it, but yet no one knows a Scientologist. I don't.
Yeah, maybe I mean...
I don't know one.
When I kind of go back and forth. I don't know if I like Leah Remini for making this her new career as taking down Scientology, or if I'm get over it kind of thing. But I realize that it's her whole life that this is what she's known, so she's trying to fight for justice. And I've noticed that she has said the word victims multiple times on her show, in interviews. When she was doing her tour, I heard her talking about Scientology and its victims. So I think that she's feeling like she's a vigilante for Scientologists. And I appreciated that in her show it wasn't her own experience. She went to other families and she's talking with them, because I think that's the only way to get word out, is to have not just one person fighting this fight, but to have other people kind of coming through and saying, this is my experience with it.
Right.
Because maybe you'll relate to their story a little bit more than hers.
Yeah.
Because, they made her a star, quote unquote, on King of Queens, and then they expected a lot from her with these other families. They talked about disconnection, where you weren't allowed to talk to family, and if somebody from my family did join, that would be the issue I'd have. I'm like, you're not going to talk to me anymore because of a religion? That seems very opposite of any religion I've ever heard of.
Right. Yeah, the values just are quite odd considering that it's a faith.
Exactly.
So that's what I just can't get over. It's just the things that people put up with from a young age, pulling kids out of school to go live on a boat and all. It's just so weird. The way they had guards when they were sleeping. At what point do you say wait a minute? My Christian friends don't have a guard sleeping outside their house Christmas morning. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I just don't see the benefits that they claim they have. It's quite odd. They've been buying a lot of space and advertising. I think even during the Super Bowl last year, just big Scientology ads. And their image has to be hurting.
Yeah.
With all these exposés, really, on 2020, on A&E, this Going Clear documentary.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating what people put up with, including if you get in trouble, you have to go through interrogations, which you have to pay for yourself. That would be the day.
Yeah, right?
Could you imagine?
Voluntarily going for that?
Yeah.
My question is, because it's a newer religion, and I'm wondering, because it's so documented and they're able to buy space, we didn't have this with Christianity back in Roman times, where we don't know what they were doing to convert people, or maybe there was people like us talking can you believe that Christianity is a thing? Can you believe that Judaism is a thing? Can you believe that? Maybe because it's new and we see technology behind it, it's so foreign to us that we don't understand where, it's a new religion, so maybe it's getting heat because we haven't experienced this in our lifetime of people creating something.
Maybe, yeah. Because there's so much deep history with other religions.
Yeah.
And this is kind of from a fictional book originally, and then it moved on to these living books. I don't know how to live your best life. I don't know.
I'm talking about religion as I'm so not a religious person, but it's just this is what I'm coming from it.
Right. No, I get that. I can see that. It's really interesting. If you just walk down Hollywood Boulevard, they have quite the presence there.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right
yeah.
there, like the beautiful buildings. I have to say, they keep up their proproperties very nice, but it's to, like, it's to bring you in. You know, it's interesting and weird, and I'm always like fascinated to drive by it. Like I always go slow, you know,
hoping something weird's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know what I expect to see, but you can't even take a picture on the sidewalk. Like there's people on bikes who they have like, cameras in every bush. There's a lot of hidden disguise. It's true. There's a lot of camouflaged photography over there.
Oh, I never knew that.
Every square inch of the perimeter of their property.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do they think people are going to do with the picture of the building?
I don't know.
Just like make fun of it, like taunt it kind of thing? Because it's become a joke a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Well, the show did really well. It was their highest rated season premiere in 2 years. It had 2.1 million, and then basically that was total, and then around 1 million, 18 to 49, which is pretty good for cable unscripted these days. Yeah. So they definitely did pretty well. It even bested Going Clear, which I feel like everybody watched.
Yes.
And that did 1.6. So she did almost double that, and yeah, I think she did double that.
Yeah, good for her. I mean, it seems like it's been a labor of love for her to fight this fight, and for her to probably feel that rewards of people watching and actually experiencing. It's good.
For me, I will watch this show in the background.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to sit with a drink and put the phone down and watch. You know what I mean? I think I'll listen to it from afar. Okay. But it's interesting to me, so I'm going to keep looking at it.
All right. Yeah. You'll keep me updated.
Okay, I will.
tell me if I should stay.
Are you going to watch Fuller House on Netflix?
I have not seen season 1. I am a huge fan from my childhood of the original Tanner family. But I heard not great things about it, and it's almost I don't get that nostalgia wave of wanting to watch things that are recreated. I kind of like to hold it dear in my heart of what I remember. The only reason I want to watch it is because Carly Rae Jepsen did the theme song. But I could watch it on YouTube, and I still haven't. I really should do that today. But probably not.
Yes, I think the theme song is on its own YouTube channel. It's its own video, so you don't even have to watch the show.
Okay, that's where I'm going then. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I looked at it very hokey, very corny.
The original show was, though, too. Looking back at the original episodes, it was so after-school special,
it's the
every
same
lesson.
Look and feel.
Okay.
And, they still turn on the music, or they have to sit on the couch and have a moment. It's still the same thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a very easy watch.
Great.
And it's a nice nod to, what used to be, and I love Kimmy Gibbler, so that's fun.
Oh man, yeah, I know. The names and the characters have such a place in my heart. It's just there's so much other content that I think I put before it that Fuller House was not really on my radar.
Right. Well, the show creator Jeff Franklin bought the house in San Francisco. I took a picture in front of this house when I was there. I was like, it's obligatory. I feel like I have to. So, but he didn't own it at that point. It was just you could tell they were trying to make it you couldn't pick it out.
The only way you could tell was that it had a rope or a chain in front of it, and they painted the door a dark green or something, so it didn't have that pop of red.
Yeah. So now it's looking back its old ways. It has the red door. He bought it only for $4 million.
Only $4 million.
Well, I was shocked though. In San Francisco, an iconic house, limited. I mean, those painted ladies, they're not everywhere.
Right.
So I was shocked it was only $4 million, and we're used to hearing costs around LA of just just regular neighborhoods that aren't gated or anything that are very much higher than that.
But it is a 3-bedroom apartment, so I guess so maybe, but the area is very nice. I myself have been there, and I imagine. I mean, he has the money, so I don't think he's worried about the cost. So but
any cost he would have just picked it up.
You're right, though. I mean, looking at the numbers, it is kind of crazy that it is an iconic house.
Yeah. So he wants to preserve the house. He said that something like 250 fans a day will take pictures outside of it, and me being one of them.
Yep, I was one.
So I'm like, well, that's good. I mean, I like that he has such respect for the fans and the legacy that is that random house.
Yeah.
And he said in another article that he was hoping that they could film at that location, at least the exterior, have people in and out of the front door, because the show right now is very multicam. It's you've got the plastic leaves outside the door, it's very fake.
And whenever a sitcom that was a multicam went outside, it was such a noticeable difference. You could tell. Yes. So it would be nice if they could kind of recreate that magic without having to get a stage.
Yeah. They're bringing the building up to code, and they're reconstructing the interior. Isn't that weird?
It's a little bizarre. I don't know how they're going to... Because he said that he wants to recreate the set.
the inside of that house, I saw that when it went up on the market, the inside of that house is nothing like the real show set. I mean, it's very...
What?
It's total opposite. It's tight hallways. It's like the kitchen is beautiful, but it's like all white, very modern.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like that sleek white stone.
Right.
It's not at all like the show. It's not like a lived-in family house. It's very much like a show place.
Right.
You know, that's how all those homes are. Anything like that, you invest and you make it. You bring you don't really keep the old look.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to kind of dumb it down, but it'll be nice. It'll be a nice homage to the show.
Yeah, I like that he likes his show, likes this show that he's a part of so much that he's willing to do this for himself and for fans.
Would you ever stay there? They're renting it out.
You know, well, it depends on what the price point is, but sure. I mean, the weirder thing to me was that he wanted people from the show to do like a slumber party there. And like, if I was one of the actors, I'd be like, let's cool it. Like, you know, like, let's calm it down a little bit.
You know the Olsen twins aren't going anywhere near that slumber party.
No. They're not going... Yeah, they're going to be in New York. I don't think they've even touched down in California for a long time. So, they're not here.
I don't think they'll be able to smoke in that house. But I know how much they love cigarettes.
Oh, boy. I know those girls. They're like chimneys. Ugh. Or at least one of them, Mary Kate, I think, was.
Two weirdos. It's too bad.
I think they were... This is a whole nother... I mean, this could be another topic. But yeah, I admire what they did. I do. I think I'm the same age as them, too. So it's like, to see the level of success that they're at. Granted, they probably didn't have a lot to do with it in their... when they were 5 and 6, whatever. But man, they've built themselves an empire.
Their personal lives, though, are weird.
Yeah. But that's, you know, they'll come back.
Let's talk a little bit about Vanderpump Rules, a show I've never really discussed. I watch so much Bravo, but I don't do Vanderpump Rules after show and afterwards. I haven't watched every season and every show. I have a lot of blanks that I'm filling in because I'm going back and rewatching, and I'm watching this new season. So I've caught a lot through the years, but I've never actually watched week to week. So I'm like figuring it out as I go along. You
know, this is like, it's a complicated web because if you haven't seen something from season 1, they still reference it in season, I think we're in 5 or 6 now. And is it 5? Mm-hmm. Oh man, I mean, these people's lives are just dramatic.
Well, they're all a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part. I've heard so much about them, and I see the behavior now, and I see like what I've read and heard about, and I'm like, okay, very good. But the one person who stood out to me this season is Lala. I don't know what her deal is. I mean, I've heard so much about Kristen being like a total mess, but I'm looking at Lala, and I'm like, this girl is like a disaster. I can't imagine anyone worse.
You know what's crazy is this season, because I cover this show, I'm very like well versed in it, but they have taken the main, I guess, quote-unquote characters of Stassi and Kristen, and they've kind of put them in the background, which I'm so not used to because it's always been their story that we followed. And they're not doing much besides helping Katie with the wedding, which to have them as supporting is it's like having Meryl Streep as a featured extra. It's very weird. So you're right, Lala's getting a lot of screen time and just not making the most out of it. I've heard that she quits mid-season. She didn't want to be a part of the show. She went on rants on Instagram, Twitter, saying that it was like not a great representation of her. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast is coming out and saying, you got the best edit out of everybody. So we'll see. But you're right. She's just kind of the one where I'm rolling my eyes sometimes at some of the things that are her and James Kennedy. I just can't.
The two of them, yeah. Oof. Well, she even said herself that she's like, she either is or isn't S-ing D to get a Range Rover.
Right.
I'm like, wait, are you confirming or denying? Because we all know pretty much what that means.
I think her quote was, I'd be getting a lot more than a Range Rover if I was doing that. So,
well, then you're doing it just to get that.
Yeah.
You're not doing it very good if you're not happy with just that. Because it's like, everyone's like, of course, they're all on like quote like restaurant salary, which we all know is nonsense.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, she's not the first broke girl in LA, quote unquote, to get a leased SUV. So we all know the type. She fits the bill of that type that needs to like go broke to drive a Range Rover that's like leased for like 36 months. Like, all right, we get it.
I want to give her, because she says her mom does help her financially a lot, so I don't know like how much it's really helping. It's just I hate calling basing it off of what a woman looks like to say that's like what it would be, but she just doesn't help that stereotype. Perpetuates it even.
Right.
So Yeah.
Her and James are so complicated. Their lives are just so complicated. And those are two, I even wrote this down, like those are two people that you question how they get through the day.
Right.
Like those are the types. You always say that sometimes, like, I don't know how people get through the day. Those are like the two classic stereotypes.
Yeah,
like,
and you're right. It's just how have they survived this long? Like it's
right.
just
especially in LA.
Yeah, the city can either eat you up, or there's some people who are like that where they just thrive. And I'm like, how am I? Very like I would say of myself, like I keep a clear mind, and you just seem like you're out of control. Yet you're in this successful position, and I'm still struggling.
I know.
It's hard to believe, but some people just have like luck on their side, I think.
That's true. There are some people that fall into luck.
Yeah.
Despite everything.
Uh-huh.
If it was you or I, it wouldn't go that way.
Right.
But yeah, no, these people are on this very successful Bravo reality show.
Yeah.
Looking like idiots and being paid good money to look bad.
I guess that's the cost that they pay, though, is that they're being judged and we aren't, like, for their bad behavior, because we're talking about them right now and how much of a train wreck they are, and people I don't think are at home talking about you and I, saying, like, what the decisions we made are bad.
So is it obvious that Britney definitely
had
her oral sex moment?
Okay, so I texted Jesse the other day, I'm like, Shakespeare couldn't write stuff like this, where you open a season with, what did Lisa say so elegantly? Kristen going down on a Kentucky muffin. Like, to have that as your premiere episode of, like, woman on woman, I think it happened. What does Jax gain from talking about this?
Yeah, she's just embarrassed because her family is going to know this.
And Kristen is playing the, I don't know, I'm too drunk, I don't know, which is code for, I did it, I'm not going to say it kind of thing. And I feel like Andy Cohen will get to the bottom of this at the reunion. I really hope he just digs until he does. But
I hope so, because he doesn't do the work anymore, so I hope he does. Yeah. I really do.
Oh, he's got to do something. He's going to come and deliver for us.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Please rate, subscribe, and share. Spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
And we're back talking with Jay, and we're going to talk about Jay's time out here in LA. You're from LA, right?
I am from here, one of the rare natives.
Rare, yes.
Yeah, it's crazy because people come here and that's always like a first question, where are you from? And when I say here, it's just like a kind of a conversation ender. But when you're from LA, it doesn't mean it's so, there's suburbs, there's West Side, there's North Hollywood. I mean, it's
a huge county.
Yeah, people from different areas don't realize how huge LA really is.
They don't. Whenever there's like a wildfire, like in Thousand Oaks, I get calls like, is your house going to burn down? I'm like, no, it's nowhere near me. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, there's always, people who don't know the area, it's just very confusing that in the movies they seem like they can drive somewhere in 10 minutes, where really it can be a nice solid hour and a half until we get somewhere else in LA.
Yeah, that's like going 5 miles.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I worked I interned 15 miles away from my school when I drove. It was in Orange County, and that was sometimes it was up to 2 hours in that time. So. Yeah, just to put things in perspective.
Yeah.
But everyone in LA has the traffic moment. We've had ours.
Yeah, it's just a part of our story. We're contributing to the problem by being in it, and we are seeing the problem because we're in it.
Yes,
it's never going away.
So growing up in LA, what made you want to get into this business? Was it something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The way I describe it is I've never known anything different. Like when people say that they don't want to be in the industry, I'm just like, I don't understand you. I don't know how that's not one of your drives or your passion, how you aren't living to perform for people. I have a friend who's she's a registered nurse. She knew she wanted to be that from 9th grade. She went through college. She's very successful now as a nurse. And I'm like, to know that was you had a job essentially waiting for you after school is bonkers to me, because I've fought tooth and nail to get everything that I have. And even then it's I don't get it all the time. So it's hard. It's a rough industry, but you have to kind of keep going with it to get anything out of it.
It's always a never-ending track. It's it's being on a train at night. You don't see what's coming up ahead of you. So to have a job like that, job placement and all this stuff that is such an odd thing. You study to be a teacher, you become a teacher. You're a teacher for 30 years, you retire, you have benefits. I
know. I am. A part of me is envious, but the other part of me would not change it for the life of me.
Yeah. I mean, I love to entertain it, just to make someone laugh or to give someone something to pass time with. It's like why I'm here, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not like a caregiver, or I'm not very good with like cars. Like I don't again. That's it. That's I'm doing what I'm doing. It. Like,
and we all know if you're not good as a caregiver or good with cars, you're not going to have a career. Yeah, I know. It's just it's a funny industry, but I love being a part of it.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about what you do. I know that you just came from an audition before coming on this show.
Oh boy, what an audition! Yeah, it's okay. So like a daily week, or what do you want to? How do you want to break this down?
Well, what are you out auditioning for? Like when you look for these casting calls, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so I have a very specific type. If you guys haven't seen me, it's just like not as specific. I'm very general white boy next door, or like / hipster nerd. Like that is the type I am called in for, and fortunately for me, that is what people are looking for right now. So I go on auditions, and today was a 3-hour process where I got the sides, which are just a piece of the script last night, 3 pages of things that they want you to memorize and read with the reader, and I was fortunate enough to move on to the next step within the day because they're hoping to cast this by next week. So I got to a callback, which is something that usually happens the next time you go in. They want you to come in with the same thing so that more people can come into the room and make you feel even more awkward. And so you're performing for more people. And then I had to do like an improvised scene with the reader where I was playing as the character for 20 minutes, just talking about how I think they would respond to answers and kind of a process. I had to give a presentation because it was for a tech guy, like a guy who came up with a formula to raise $2 million for the company based on cloud something, which I have zero knowledge of this stuff. So I'm making a formula basically of like, I don't know, glue coming out of my mouth, but I was like, these sounds like words that I've said before and they sound scientific. So it's just it's a draining process, but you look at the breakdown of what the character is. You submit your headshot, or I have an agent who does it for me, so you get a call based on that. They give you a time, a location. Again, they give you the sides, and you kind of go from there. You kind of create the character yourself.
Right. So about how many auditions do you go on average?
A good week would be probably like 4. A slower week for me is usually like 1. And then in between those, I get like little self-tapes every once in a while, which I don't count as the same because you are at home and you read and you put yourself on tape, which is becoming very on trend right now because instead of renting out the space, casting directors are saying everybody has a smartphone and a good quality smartphone at that. So you do the work and we'll just judge you based off that. Yeah. So I get a decent amount.
Right. So these auditions, like you mentioned, this was 3 hours.
Yeah.
There's a lot of waiting around. I mean, they're not in and out like doctor's appointments. They're not really fun. Like, I don't know, what do you do to prepare for one before you go in? Like, if you know it's going to go on for a while, like, do you have like a go-to song? Like, do you pump yourself up, or do you have like a moment of inflection?
This is so, I mean, I've never talked about the process, but it's not a glamorous situation. Even when you're on set, when you're fortunate enough to book the thing, when you're on set, you are sitting around a long time waiting for your 20 minutes of time, and then they have to reset lights, and it's just it's a long process. But like I said, when I'm on set, I feel it's the right thing. This is what I'm here for, or this is what I'm doing. It's what I want to do. So for the audition process, I usually bring my sides with me, and I make sure that I have at least, for this instance, I didn't know it was going to be a 3-hour process. It's very rare to have a callback immediately after. Like, I should have been released probably 40 minutes into my audition. But so I bring my sides. I usually review those. I bring a book now because it's always going to be a longer wait than I expect. And I always assign an animal to a character. So when I read the breakdown, I like to give an animal so that way I can kind of use their characteristics or their demeanor as like inspiration for that character. And it sounds so tacky, but if you think of somebody who's like very cat-like, the way that they would just kind of like maybe slouch into like a chair or like talk a little slower, like it's just that it kind of helps me put in an emotion to the person. Because I feel, I mean, can you think of somebody who is like an animal, like you've just seen them?
Like bird types of people that like kind of like move like very stiff upper bodies that shift around.
Or like a sloth, like somebody who you just want to push to make them go faster. So that's maybe my own thing, but I enjoy it.
I like that.
Yeah, it helps me.
It's different.
Yeah.
I kind of miss that process. I haven't really done anything like that. I did on tape audition for this independent film that I actually got, but I couldn't do because they had to shoot in 5 days and I work.
Yeah.
So, and that just came to me through a friend, and I was like, oh, this would be so different for me, like so out of the box.
Yeah.
And I wish I could have done that.
Yeah, it is a very, like, pick up and go. Like, they give you basically a day's notice, like, hey, you got the job, you need to be in Long Beach tomorrow at 5 a.m. Good? I'm like, I guess, like, let me rearrange some things, but yeah, like, let's do it.
Right. It is a quick commitment if you like to take on.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you have to, like, especially for, like, a film or something where there's so many different scenes and stuff. Like, the scene work can take a while to get down, but if they're going to start right away, you got to do the work so quick.
Yeah. It's a quick business. They need to... A lot of things, too, they have to keep stuff while it's relevant and hot and while people are still backing them, because if they slack too much, people will pull their money out and they don't want to be a part of it anymore.
Right.
So, it's a fast-moving business.
Have you ever had that experience where you were cast and ready to go and then something fell through?
Luckily, no. I have had to drop out of a project, but that was based on a comfort level. Like, they kept changing the script too much on me, where it started to become a little bit of a situation where I was like, I got a gut feeling, you sometimes just get that thing like, where is this going now? And it turned into, they didn't have a network, this was recently, they didn't have a network they were pitching for, it was for a pilot, they wanted a lot of nudity, which, fine, you can have it, whatever you want, but it didn't tell a story, there was no purpose for it, and it almost seemed like it was gearing itself into something different, which I wasn't really signed on for, and it wasn't going to be something that I wanted to be a part of, so I said, I really appreciate the opportunity, thank you so much, but I'm going to... soft shoe out.
Some skin in the hack stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done other stuff for things where they say, look, this is the story. Do you mind nudity? Not at all, especially if it's part of the story and you have a network that you're going to. This place was just like, I think they were getting nudity just for the sake of shock value. So it just wasn't the right tone.
Right.
Because it doesn't bother me.
Genuine.
Yeah, no, it wasn't weird. Or it was weird. It wasn't the right spot for it.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
So what's the goal for you long term? What are you looking to make happen?
Oh, man. Okay, so, like, I've actually... Kind of hosting was something that I not fell into, because it's always been something that I've enjoyed, but talking with people and really listening to their opinions and contributing my own has been amazing. Like, I've actually really enjoyed it. I like seeing people who create their own content. I would love to be a part of somebody else's vision, too. Like, I read scripts, and there's a lot of really good stuff out there that I would love to be a part of. Ideally, I think television is my place. I don't think I'm like movie star quality, and I've been told that. So I think I made more for TV, kind of like either a Kimmy Gibbler, I would love like a recurring role like that. That's kind of like the scene stealer. That would be my ideal situation. But I'd be happy. I know I don't watch the show Big Bang Theory, but something where you're in that supporting cast. I don't think I want to do a lead. That seems like a lot of pressure on your shoulders. And I would love to just come in and be the character that people love and fall in love with. Because usually the leads are so they're not given the best material.
A good recurring character can be iconic. Yeah.
I can think of so many other people who I'd rather watch than leads. Right, and I would like that kind of following that the thing that people look forward to seeing.
What's the craziest bit of feedback you've received? Or... you mentioned that you're not. That you've been told that you're only a TV guy. What's some crazy things that you've been told that we can laugh at? Okay,
so one of the best experiences of my life, I was working as an intern, because you have to start. People kind of come in and think that you could just be like in TV and movies, and sometimes it works out like that. Sometimes it doesn't. I started at the bottom as an intern at a casting agency, and she paid me with so much more information than I ever could have thought, because I was in the room with producers, hearing their notes and comments. And learning that you could be an inch too tall, my eyes were too blue, your shoulders were too wide. There's so many things that you can't control that are going on in their head that it's just not what they saw for the character, and you don't have anything. So, I mean, going back to it, she just told me that, she said, you're handsome, but you are not leading handsome. And I was like, ouch. She's like, I don't want you to take it like that, but just know, like, when you're submitting for things, you're the boy next door. You're not the, like... guy on a motorcycle who people are gonna fawn over, and and you're not Dylan, you're the Brandon. Like, that's kind of the comparison she made for me. I don't know if you're a 90210 watcher.
I wasn't, no, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so he was like the bad boy and like the one that people were like heartthrobs over, and Brandon was like the brother who was like, okay, I guess I'll do the right thing. So I mean, it was a valuable feedback, and it was kind of the one that took me a day to get over, because I kind of took it personally. But now I'm able to laugh about it and be like, oh.
When someone does say something like that, though, I'm sure you think about it all the time. Like, that assessment it lives forever in your scope of self, with what you can play and when you're looking at a part, they're like, oh, this will be a great project, but it's a leading man. Did you think right back to that? So that's kind of tough, but it's helpful to know because it saves you a hell of a lot of time.
It does. It's hard to hear, but I mean, the good thing about the industry is so many people have so many different experiences and they're willing to share it with you that you I don't know, you can use what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your LA hustle and the challenges that you have to go through to get to where you are.
It is constant. It's just, it never ends. I wake up and I look at I have like a huge whiteboard and it's just, if it's not filled, then I feel like I'm not productive. So I want to either be creating something, working on something, or doing something. Like it's just, if I'm not, then I'm thinking I'm not reaching my full potential for the day. So it's just never ending. That's the best way I can put it. I try to stay social and I put work a lot first. So I think that's kind of my personal life, my love life, all that stuff has just kind of been put on the back burner, which is fine because I've done it to myself. But it's just it's a sacrifice, and it's a hard city to grow up in and a hard city to live in.
Yeah. Do you ever put a time limit on things, especially living in LA?
I don't, because going back to the advice, I did improv and my groundling teacher said that it's that game where everybody has their hand up on something and you just see people drop off because their hands get tired, and I'm going to keep my hand on that van or board or wall, whatever it is, because it's a numbers game. You just keep going.
That's exactly how I feel. Yeah. I felt that way last year too with things like if I just hold on a little longer, and
people
have that
out.
Grace. Yeah, because I've seen so many people come and go. I'm sure as you have. So many people who came out here and they studied with, or with a page with, or have worked as an assistant with, who are no longer. They're out of the business, and so it opens up a door eventually. So I'm with you. I keep telling myself like, don't be the one to walk away,
right? And you can't ever lose that humbleness of you have to earn it. You can't expect it.
Yes.
So, and I think a lot of people say, "Oh, I'll give it a year, and then I'm going to be doing what I want to do," and that's just not.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
Yeah, you really can't put a time limit on things, especially a year in LA. To get a good TV job, like behind the scenes, they say it takes 10 years to really get to a steady, well-paying, reputable position, whether that's anywhere in production or on a network level, to pay those dues to get to that level. You've got to invest 10 years, and that's not necessarily even saying that it's going to result in much after those 10 years. It's a huge gamble. But like you said, if you keep your hand up long enough, it usually tends to pan out. I was thinking about that earlier today at AfterBuzz. The creator Kevin was having a large meeting and a long talk about things, and he was just talking about like longevity and hanging in there. And I remember like that resonated with me quite a bit, because I do believe in that. Like, don't be the one to walk away. Yeah,
and every experience I've had has helped me grow in it. So it's not like I'm doing it for nothing. I'm actually learning, and I'm doing it. I'm making it happen. Yeah. It's just, if there was anything else I could be doing, I'd be doing it by now, but I don't see myself anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
That's great.
That's how you know that you're in it to win it and you love it.
That's right.
So what do you want to promote? What's coming out? Anything new coming up?
Yeah, so I can't really talk about today because I don't really know where that's going to go, but I did do a pilot for HBO, so fingers crossed on that one. That would be called, they just changed it, called A-Lister, and I would be a recurring, which is like the dream. So please, everybody, keep their fingers crossed on that. I would love for that to be picked up. It's kind of a cross between Entourage and God, I don't know what else would be like. It's very entourage. It's very like Hollywood in Hollywood kind of thing.
Okay.
So it would be amazing to have, and HBO kind of loves a show that's based on Hollywood. So I'm having that, and I'm actually working on Vanderpump Rules right now, the after show for AfterBuzz. And that's keeping me pretty busy, and then hopefully I'll keep popping up in your guys' faces on little things here and there. Yeah. But I don't know yet the release dates of that. So, and some things I can't even talk about yet, which is so hard because you shoot them like 4 months ago, and I'm like I'm anxious to see it. But yeah, that's I think what I can talk about right now.
That's great. All right, sounds good. Where can we keep up with you online?
So Instagram is don't_be_jealous, and that's JELLIS, and then Twitter is still_jealous, JELLIS, and I always love talking to everybody who wants to talk to me, so I look forward to like the back and forth banter. I feel like I have some fun pictures up on Instagram. That's kind of the one I'm more excited about. I like Instagram a little bit better than anything else.
Yeah, you're not on Facebook, huh?
I know, and that either gets a reaction of how do you do it or good for you.
At this point, I don't think it makes a difference because it's not like you're. It'd be weird if you weren't on anything.
Yeah.
But it's like now it's like you're all checking the same people with the same things, the same content, I think. So it's like you're on one, you're on it all, pretty much.
When I got requests from people in high school that I never talked to, I was like, we weren't friends then. Why do I want to be your friend? Not sound mean, but I don't have anything I want to talk to you about.
Right.
So it just kind of, I had it and it's been off since 2009 and I've lived a happier, more productive life, I think. So no shade.
I'll give you the good for you reaction.
Thank you. That's all I want.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope that you listen to Slumber Party.
Yeah, please
we
do.
need to promote this song.
Yeah.
You guys can check out Jay online and learn more about his projects. He's a good guy. He'll message you back if you want to write to him. In the meantime, look out for the holiday party panel episode. That is coming up next. That's episode number 44, and that'll be our end of the year special, and we're inviting all the co-hosts, anyone who wants to come can do the show, and we're going to be covering a lot of things similar to last year's show, but a little different, and I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you guys for checking it out. Thanks for all the support with the show. The numbers are really doing good, and I'm very grateful to everyone who listens. So that'll do it for us from this episode, and we'll be back with our big party next episode coming up. Woohoo!
This has been Grants Rants. Follow us on Twitter at Grants__Rants. Cover art created by Howie Ronay. Voiceover by Blake V Media. Original theme music composed by Alexander Arntzen.